Konnichiwa, I'm Rock God Itachi and you're watching the 5th step for the 10-step guide to buying anime figures. So obviously we've looked at what type of figures you can buy, and we've also looked at the places you can buy them and those dreaded bootlegs, and of course avoiding the customs on those figures as well. So of course this is a question that has been handed down, I guess, over generation to generation of whoever's collected figures, and that is, do you keep them in the box or do you take them out of the box? You know, your new figures arrived and you are then stuck with that question. Are you the kind of collector that feels that you want to keep them in the box, or are you the kind of collector that thinks, no, I want to give them some freedom? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down the pros and cons of keeping them in the box and taking them out of the box. So let's start off with keeping them in the box, the pros and cons of that. Now the pros are generally that they will not get damaged, because if they're in the box they're surrounded by their plastic cardboard prison, as it's known as, and they won't get damaged. And the other thing is obviously if you do plan to sell them later on, then obviously they still will retain some value, especially if you keep them new and sealed. So generally keeping them in the box can have some pros about it. Now the cons is the fact that if you do keep them in the box, space is going to get eaten up quite quickly, and you're going to find that it's very difficult, unless you've got one huge room or something like that, to keep them all in one place at one time, because you'll find that the space will just amount. And when you start your figure collecting journey, it's like, I'm going to liken it to Pringles and indeed Jaffa cakes as well. You can't just have one, you've got to have another one. I know Pringles is once you pop you can't stop, so basically yeah, once you start buying a figure it's very difficult to stop, because you're like, okay, I've seen this show, I really like that character, buy that figure, seen this show, like that character, buy that figure. That's generally what's going to happen. So when you come down to that whole thing about keeping them in the box and the space for where you want to put them, yeah, it's going to get eaten up pretty quick. So that is a big downside to keeping them in the box. Now another pro actually is dusting, because the dusting is a lot easier, because you haven't got to dust the whole figure itself. You just got to dust the box, move the box, dust where it was, that's it, done. Whereas obviously there is a lot more involved with the figure when it's out of the box, which we'll go into that when we do the pros and cons of out the box. But generally, yeah, if you keep them in the box, those are like your 3 big pros. Now the cons of keeping the figures in the box is obviously you can't really look at the figure and admire it to its full extent. You know, you can't, if you turn the box around, you're not going to see the back of the figure, you're going to see the back of the box. So yeah, again, it's entirely up to you how you feel about this, but I found that once I got my figures out of the box, I could look at them, enjoy them, and just really have a lot more enjoyment out of them, I suppose. That's the best way I can put it. So like I say, those are your pros and cons of keeping your figures in the box. Let's look at the pros and cons of taking them out of the box. Now if you take them out of the box, the pro is again enjoyment value, because you can pick them up, look at them, if they're cast offable, cast them off, it's entirely up to you, that kind of stuff, which makes it a lot more fun, and a lot more fun as a collector to do that, because then you can rearrange them, you can put them in a cabinet, display them however way you see fit, you know, characters, whatever, and generally again just enjoy them. Now the downside is obviously the money, so that's the con. Okay, the con is the money, because obviously if you want to sell this figure that's cost you £120, or you know, maybe $100, whatever, that kind of line, and you feel that it was that kind of money when you bought it, it's going to go down in value because you've took it out of the box. And it's just one of those things that you have to sort of think to yourself about once you start opening them. Do I really want to enjoy them to the full extent, or am I looking at them as a long-term investment where I'm actually going to sell them off? Because otherwise then go for the box option. But another thing as well which is taking them out of the box is the packaging, which I found is a con as well, because you end up with so many boxes still kind of the same situation of keeping them in the box, but the problem I found is that, do you keep the plastic? Are you the kind of person that wants to keep the plastic? Because to be honest with you, I wanted to keep all the boxes and all the plastic, and I would need a huge, and I mean a huge, loft to keep all them boxes in. So in the end I had to say goodbye to the plastic. I just had to. So all I've got now is the flattened boxes, which for me, if I do ever move in the future, I will find some way of wrapping the figures, making sure they're okay, and then putting them back in those boxes, and hopefully that would keep them safe. But I would have preferred to have kept the plastic, but there is a huge amount of it, and henceforth it was a bit difficult for me. So that was one of the things. Now the other thing that is a pro for taking the figures out of the box is photos and videos, because you can do some close-up shots of your figure. You can enjoy them again to their full extent by doing some photos and videos, and you can get quintessentially your money's worth out of them, because you think you've paid £100 or £200 for this figure, you want to enjoy it to its full extent. And keeping it in the box, again, it depends if you are looking on the long-term value, which we've already gone through, is one of the ways that you can't really enjoy it to its full extent. So taking it out of the box, that is a pro, because you can do these photos and videos, and you can generally just have a good lot of fun with your figures. Again, it comes down to space, because if you do take them out of the box, it depends where you're going to put them. Because if you have a cabinet, that's fine. Cabinet, Dettol, anything like that, that's fine, because you can put them in there, and the chances are you're going to have quite a bit of space that you can play with, and put them in there, rearrange them into some form of nicer display. But if you put them on the shelf, this is where a con comes in. You have our dreaded common enemy, and that is dust. And dust will saturate your figures completely, and you'll find that you'll have to dust them, you maybe once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, depending on how much of a sort of a cleaner you are and how much you feel like you want to dust. I mean, if you've got 300 figures and you've decided that you're going to get them all out of the box and they're all in the room on shelves that are not cabinets, that's a lot of figures that you're going to find very hard to dust, and it's going to take a lot of time to do. For me, just to dust my shelves when I have figures on there, just my Gashapon figures, before turning into a cabinet, 2 hours. So that's 2 hours of my life I've spent dusting figures. So that is again a very, very big con of taking them out of the box, unless you go to the pro and you have a cabinet to put them in, because then that cuts down your dusting time. Yes, you've still got to dust them, but the good thing is that you haven't got to dust them so often. So that works out quite nicely. Now the other con of taking them out of the box, and this is one that has come up for me quite a few times now, and hopefully, touch wood, it doesn't happen again, and that is they are breakable. So you might end up sort of picking one up, and lo and behold, the head might fall off or something like that, or you might just lose your balance and drop it or something like that, and then you're stuffed basically, unless you can find some way of repairing it. That figure, again, that's cost you a lot of money, has been broken, and there is one way that you can repair it, and you can get it repaired properly, or you just buy another one. So that is another con of taking them out of the box. But as I say, you know, there is quite a lot of pros and cons involved in taking them out of the box or keeping them in the box. And for me, I just went with the whole take them out of the box because I had the cabinets built, and I found that that would be a generally good way of displaying my collection, which you will see it. I guarantee that you will see it. The third cabinet is getting built. I've got some other little things that I'm getting sorted out. Then there will be a video of my room tour after, and you will be absolutely amazed, even I'm amazed every time I walk in, at how much it's changed, because it has really, really changed hugely. It really has. I'm absolutely shocked every time I walk in. Now that is the other good thing about taking them out of the box, which I will stick in, and that is they just look amazing in display cabinets. They really do. All these different characters together just look absolutely amazing, and when you walk in your room and you see them all, it looks really, really awesome, and you're really happy to have them there. And again, you get a sense of fulfillment that you are, you know, collecting these and you're just enjoying them for what they are, and that's generally how I feel about my collection. And I do feel that I do have times when I sort of stand there and I feel that I'm very happy for having my collection, and I just enjoy looking at them and sort of perusing the shelves and looking at all the different figures, and I think, yeah, that's really awesome. Well, I might move her to there, or I might move him to there, or something like that. So yeah, that's generally where I'm going to end this video, to be honest with you. But that is the question answered, I feel. If there are any other comments or opinions on this subject, then by all means leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you are a new anime figure collector and you want to get in contact with me and ask me some questions, then feel free to contact me on YouTube, or check out my actual profile on myfigurecollection.net and send me a message on there. Either way, I will be looking at myfigurecollection.net later on in this series, so I will then give you a guided tour of all what it's about and show you, as a new figure collector, why you should join that site. So that is it for this one. The next one we're going to talk about in part 6 of this series is something that I find to be very fun, and that is displaying your figures. We're going to look at how you can display them and what ideas you can come up with to display them. So that should be pretty interesting. So I will leave it at that for this video, but I will say to you, thanks for watching, and if you are a new figure collector, I really hope you get on well with your collection. And if you did like the video, then please give it a like and feel free to subscribe. And I'll say again, thanks for watching. Sayonara.